Now, France 24's Brussels correspondent Dave Keating is covering the summit in Brussels. Dave, thank you for being with us. Now, Europe has shown remarkable unity in confronting Russia over the war in Ukraine, but they remain divided on how exactly to tackle its own energy crisis. Now, what can we expect from this summit?
Well, there are a couple subjects on the agenda today: the Ukraine war, future relations with China, sanctions against Iran, which we're expecting to be published any minute now. But energy is the topic that is going to be the big focus at the summit because it's the area with all the disagreement. There are a number of energy measures that are on the table that the countries all do agree on and will be kind of rubber stamped over the next week. But there are two areas that they really disagree on, and one is this idea to cap the wholesale price to import gas into the EU. And the other is this idea to have more EU joint borrowing, to have an energy fund at EU level that would help consumers around Europe who are struggling with their energy bills. Now, on that, Europe has become divided in a north-south pattern that is very familiar from the debt crisis 10 years ago. So you have southern countries like Italy, Spain, France, all wanting this gas price cap, wanting some kind of EU instrument to help consumers with energy bills. And you have the northern so-called frugal countries led by Germany who are opposed to both of these things. Now, Germany in particular here is really in the hot seat. Chancellor Olaf Scholz will be coming here to Brussels at a time where he is very unpopular here in Brussels. People are furious about this 200 billion euro self-bailout that he adopted that will help German consumers only with their energy bills. 200 billion is a huge amount. It will have major effects on the whole EU single market, and yet he did not consult his EU partners on this. And at the same time, they are going to be considering today a solidarity mechanism put forward on Tuesday that would require EU countries to send gas to any neighboring EU country that is struggling. Well, that struggling country is likely to be Germany. So countries are being asked to kind of bail out Germany with gas and show solidarity with Germany. But at the same time, Germany doesn't seem to have been willing to send that same solidarity to the EU when it comes to cash or when it comes to this gas price cap issue. So we may see some fireworks. I'm expecting this to go pretty late tonight. And they are just really very divided on this gas price cap issue.
But I mean, after the price of gas spiraled out of control, in part due to competition within the EU, leaders must see some sense in sort of trying to pool their purchase. But why is this question of putting a price cap being so divisive?
Well, you have 15 EU countries that are asking for this and 11 EU countries who are opposed. The countries who are for it say, look, it's a no-brainer. We cap the price of that we're willing to pay for the markets. We are a huge market, the largest free market in the world. If we say this is the price, this is the price. The countries who are against it say, no, this is going to backfire because if the EU sets a price cap, then other global competitors, like say Japan, who don't have that price cap and are willing to pay more, well, that's where the gas is going to flow, particularly the liquefied natural gas that can be transported by boat. And so you'd actually turn a price crisis into a supply crisis because the EU would suddenly not be getting those imports. They'd be going to Japan and whoever else. Now, the countries for this are saying, no, we have a solution. We're going to have a dynamic price cap, which will always be set just above what Japan and others are willing to pay. The problem is those gas contracts in Japan are private contracts. We don't know what Japan is paying. So it gets very, very complicated trying to figure out how you would avoid this issue. And of course, the other issue is somebody has to pay for the difference here. So where is the money coming from? Is this going to be the taxpayer who's paying for this anyway? In which case, is this actually in the long run going to cost the taxpayer more than if they just paid for higher energy bills now? A compromise solution that may be found is the so-called Iberian model, where they cap only gas that's going to be used for electricity generation. But there's lots of complications around that as well.